Merry Christmas. I love you, Arizona, and I love you, America. From my family to yours, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind. You know, they always tell you that Trump is more of a liability than he is a benefit or an asset. That actually Trump is making it harder to win. And that if you want to be a winner, you gotta ditch Trump. That's what they tell you. And they generally point to the 2022 midterms or other elections and point out that Trump-endorsed candidates in swing states failed to get across the finish line. But this narrative, in my opinion, is complete junk. I think it omits most of the key context. They love pointing to recent memory. 2022 was all Donald Trump's fault. How is that the case when Trump wasn't even on the ballot? It's Trump's fault. It wasn't a Trump election, it was mostly an abortion election. And for the most part, Trump was laying low, politically dormant. The dynamic at the time was mostly the media setting narratives about Trump rather than him getting ahead of the story. Well, now is a completely different situation now, isn't it? Trump's more popular than he's ever been. He's more vocal and present than he's been in a very long time. And so the point that I'm getting at is, I don't know if this whole Trump inelectability narrative is as powerful or as significant as the Ron DeSantis camp and the Democrats generally imply. And the reason that's on my mind, the reason I'm saying this, the reason I'm thinking it, is because of what's currently going on in the state of Arizona. Let's just say, just got real. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, well, it's officially happening. I mean, think of a Trump candidate. What's the first face that came to mind? Kari Lake, right? Maybe someone else, but I'm sure a lot of you guys were thinking Kari Lake. Well, Democrats have been pointing forever at all the polling data claiming Kari Lake doesn't stand a chance. She's a Trump populist, she's viewed negatively, this, that, and the other. Well, I'm not so sure about that one. Kari Lake now takes the lead in 2024 Arizona Senate race. Former Arizona gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake has managed to take a sizable lead over her opponents in a race for independent Senator Kyrsten Sinema's seat next year, according to a new survey. Let's go ahead and take a look at that survey. It's from vcreek/AMG, which shows us some really interesting numbers. In a three-way race between Kari Lake, Ruben Gallego, and Kyrsten Sinema, Kari Lake leads by 6 percentage points. And here's why that's interesting. Because if you look at the data that's been collected over the last, 8 months or so, Kari Lake actually hasn't been performing so hot in most of the data released. Now, of course, as I'm recording this video, Real Clear Politics' website apparently falling apart. I think they're doing some sort of UI overhaul. And so I'm struggling to get the data here to show you guys on the video, but I did manage to get this. I got 2 polls right over here, which pretty much shows what's been going on. Ruben Gallego has had a sizable lead for the last year or so. But I've stated previously, and this is my opinion, that I don't think that number is going to stick. Specifically because a lot of the data collected happened right as or before Kari Lake even announced that she was running officially for that Senate seat in the state. Well, now she's officially running, the political dynamic is maturing, and the latest poll shows a massive leapfrog ahead of the Democrat challenger, which in number terms equates to a roughly 10-point swing towards Kari Lake. Friends, it's a completely different ballgame at this point. The claim has been that anybody politically married to Donald Trump in a battleground state like Arizona is done, but it seems as though Kari Lake is experiencing a little bit of a Trump bump as of late, and actually that's exactly what we're seeing in the state of Arizona. Kari Lake's most recently reported lead is actually following the Trump trend. The same poll finding Kari Lake 6 points ahead of Ruben Gallego also found these numbers. Donald Trump and Nikki Haley lead Joe Biden in a test of presidential general election matchups, and Kari Lake leads in a potential U.S. Senate matchup. In a head-to-head ballot test, Trump leads Biden at 46% to 41%, with 5% unsure and 8% indicating neither. And in a second scenario, with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on the ballot, Trump drops to 40%, Joe Biden drops to 35%, and Kennedy is at 16%. And in a test with a very wide ballot, meaning many other third-party candidates, potential third-party candidates, are now added to the list, Donald Trump benefits even further, maintaining his 40%, with Biden dropping down to 32%. The electable narrative is junk, and this data proves it. Kari Lake isn't some pariah connected to Donald Trump, viewed as toxic or extreme. Kari Lake's the more popular candidate as of now, and that follows data suggesting that Donald Trump is actually the most popular candidate, alongside Kari Lake on the same ballot. I mean, just think about the current state of Democrat politics in the state of Arizona. Things, I guess, in a way are going so badly that Katie Hobbs there, the Democrat governor, who beat Kari Lake, is now talking about getting tough on illegal immigration, even going as far to send demands to the federal government. If Democrats in Arizona are doing a 180 on illegal immigration, it means they're fearful of losing the middle. The way I look at it, though, based on all the data that we've seen from independent voters in battleground states, suggests that independents have largely ditched the Democrats. I'm not so sure how much a policy flip is really going to change at the end of the day. The idea is elect Ruben Gallego, the Democrat, to solve all the problems that Democrats created. I'm not getting that kind of mood in the air this political season. It feels more like a let's try something new environment. 2024, from my perception, seems to be taking a similar form as the 2016 election. The perfect kind of circumstances to get elected as a political outsider. Kari Lake just happens to be the embodiment of that exact brand. You know, maybe the problem last election wasn't Trump. Maybe the problem was a lack of Donald Trump. Maybe the issue is if you don't have Donald Trump on the ballot, then Trump loyalists don't show up to the same degree. There's always a new narrative telling you why now's the time that you need to ditch Trump. Look what happened in the last election, but we already know what happened in the last election. Why did Kari Lake lose? Is it because she's a Trump ally and viewed as toxic? Or could it maybe have something to do with the fact that the RNC doesn't spend effectively, wasting money in irrelevant states and irrelevant races, purposely sabotaging high-profile Trump-backed candidates in major elections? Could it have something to do with the fact that Liz Cheney and her father Dick Cheney actively campaigned in Arizona against Kari Lake? Could it have something to do with Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home being raided by the FBI a couple weeks ahead of the election, or the Roe v. Wade draft leak a couple months ahead of the election? No, it couldn't be that. Trump's electability problem isn't a Trump problem, it's an RNC and media problem. Same thing with Kari Lake. If Republicans can rally together and unite together half as good as the Democrats do in election season, where literal communists and corporate Democrats come together to elect dementia patients together, if they can do that, or if Republicans can do like 40 to 50% as good as Democrats do in an election season in terms of uniting, then there is no electability problem. The problem is from within. It's sabotage from within. It's Republicans shooting themselves in the foot. Kari Lake is perfectly electable. Trump is perfectly electable. In fact, they are both in their prime. They're political superstars in their own right. All they need is proper backing and maybe just a little bit of defense against the constant media slander headed their direction. Maybe, crazy. A wild concept, defending your candidates and fighting against the authoritarian communist Democrats instead of campaigning against yourself in your own interest. Who would have thought? The numbers are clear, folks. Kari Lake is back and back in a big way. Trump is back and back in a big way. And I think really this is just the very start, folks. I'm hearing a rumble in the distance, but I can't exactly make out what it is, although I'm pretty sure that's the rumbling of the Trump train. We'll just have to see. That's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.